Episode 51 Numerical Values. The Queen's Special Coronation. The next day, the land of snow, the city of wind and flowers. This castle, built atop a millennia-old glacier, is a symbol of power in the Snow Kingdom and the lair of the raging winds and waves. Tobirama Uchiha walked ahead, hands in his pockets, looking languid. Fanghua Xiaoshui followed closely behind him, though her face was still somewhat pale. Halt! Who goes there? On the city wall, a snow ninja captain shouted sternly. But before he could finish speaking, the heavy city gate was pushed hard as if by an invisible giant hand. Boom! The massive steel gate, weighing tens of tons, collapsed inwards instantly, kicking up a cloud of snow dust. The samurai hiding behind the door were crushed into a bloody pulp before they could even scream. This was Tobirama's Shinra Tensei. No need to announce it. Tobirama stepped through the collapsed gate and walked into the castle square. Tell Fanghua Nudao to come out and face his death. Castle Square. The sirens blared through the sky. Hundreds of fully armed snow ninjas and samurai swarmed in from all directions, surrounding the two. On the high platform of the castle, a middle-aged man with a bulky build, wearing specially made chakra armor, stepped out. It was a time of raging winds and turbulent waves. He looked down at the two below, and when his gaze fell on Fanghua Xiaoshui, a cruel smile appeared on his face. Oh, isn't this my lovely niece? Xiaoshui, it's been 10 years, and you're still as innocent as ever. You actually dared to come back to your death after hiring a Konoha ninja as a bodyguard? Do you think this is child's play? Then, he looked at Tobirama, a hint of apprehension flashing in his eyes, but more so a blind faith in the power of money. Hey, you from Konoha. I don't know how much she gave you, but I'll pay double. No, triple. Take the money, leave that woman behind, and then get out of the snow country. Isn't that a good deal? In Nudao's view, ninjas were all tools who risked their lives for money. There is no loyalty that money can't buy. Tobirama stopped in his tracks, looked up at the man performing like a clown, and sighed helplessly. So noisy. Looks like staying in this remote place for too long has frozen his brain. If you won't listen to reason, you'll have to suffer the consequences. Fanghua Nudao's face instantly turned ferocious, and he waved his hand. Since you want to die, then so be it. Attack him together, chop him into mincemeat. I refuse to believe he could kill all of us by himself. Kill. Hundreds of snow ninjas and samurai roared and charged forward. Various kunai, ice-style ninjutsu, and chakra cannons rained down on Tobirama. The scene was so grand and imposing that it seemed to completely engulf the two of them. Fanghua Xiaoshui closed her eyes in fright, clutching tightly to the hem of Tobira's clothes. Tobirama stood still, without even raising his hand. He simply stomped his foot down. Wood release. The birth of the tree world. Rumble. The ground, which was originally covered with a thick layer of ice, instantly shattered. Countless thick vines and trees burst forth from the earth like raging dragons, growing wildly. What the hell is this? Ah, help. The snow ninja at the forefront was instantly impaled by a tree branch and hung in mid-air. Before the remaining samurai could react, they were swallowed up and strangled by the rapidly spreading sea of trees. It only took a moment. The once menacing army of several hundred men has been transformed into a hellish forest filled with severed limbs and broken bodies. The blood stained the tree trunk red, then froze into red ice crystals due to the low temperature. Sold out instantly. Apart from the raging waves and billowing winds on the high platform, not a single survivor remained. This. Although Fanghua Nudao's face remained expressionless, his legs had already begun to tremble unconsciously. One step, and hundreds of people are gone? Is that a ninja? That's a monster. Monster. I'm not playing anymore. The wind, flowers, and raging waves completely collapsed. He suddenly activated the jet propulsion system on the back of his chakra armor, launching himself into the air in an attempt to escape. I have armor. I can fly. You can't catch me. Fly? Quote. Tobirama watched the figure scurrying about like a fly, his left eye narrowing slightly. Tent power. Whoosh. The raging waves and winds that were flying at top speed suddenly blurred before their eyes. The next second, to his horror, he found himself instantly standing in front of that killing god. The distance was less than half a meter. You run pretty fast. Tobirama looked at the bewildered Nudao before him, a cruel smile curling at the corner of his lips. He clenched his right fist, and unleashed a burst of superhuman strength. Unfortunately, even if I wanted you dead, death itself wouldn't dare keep you alive until dawn. One punch. Pure physical strength is all it takes. That's the allure of numbers. Tobirama used to need ninjutsu and abilities. But now, when facing these weaklings, you only need to use the simplest combo. Left punch followed by right punch followed by left punch. Just remember not to knock them away. Boom! This punch was devoid of any fancy moves. It landed squarely on the chest of Feng Hua Nudao's proud chakra armor. The armor, touted as being able to withstand a rank ninjutsu, shattered instantly like paper. Puff! Before Feng Hua Nudao could even let out a scream, his chest was pierced. The violent force of the punch even pierced through his body, collapsing half of the castle hall behind him. Cough. Feng Hua Nudao looked down at his empty chest, his eyes filled with disbelief. He never dreamed of this. She had planned her whole life, usurped the throne and became a great ruler, but in front of this man, she couldn't even withstand the most ordinary punch. Bang! The body fell to the ground. The tyrant of the snow country has fallen. Feng Hua Xiaoshui stared blankly at this scene. A decade-long nightmare. The uncle who had terrified her for 10 years, just died like that. To die so hastily, so simply? She turned to look at Tobirama beside her. The man remained nonchalant, as if he had merely swatted a fly. At this moment, gratitude, admiration, love, countless emotions erupted in the girl's heart. Mr. Doorway. Unable to hold back any longer, Fuka Koyuki threw herself into Tobirama's arms, stood on tiptoe, and clumsily but passionately kissed his lips. The wind and snow stopped, and the setting sun cast its golden rays upon the snow-covered plains, giving this cold country a golden edge. The surviving citizens and nobles of the snow country were summoned. Feng Hua Xiaoshui stood on the high platform, her eyes still streaked with tears, but her gaze had become resolute. She revealed the truth of what happened back then to everyone and denounced Feng Hua Nudao's atrocities. Although the public does not fully understand the truth, they can understand the situation. I hereby declare that, effective today, Fuka Koyuki will assume the position of daimyo of the Land of Snow. The Land of Snow will soon welcome a true spring. Long live the Snow Queen. Long live the Queen. Late at night, the daimyo's palace. Feng Hua and Xiao Shui have already bathed and changed their clothes. She wasn't wearing pajamas, but rather the extremely ornate and elaborate daimyo dress she had worn during the day when she succeeded to the daimyo title. Embroidered with golden snowflake patterns on white silk, and wearing an exquisite crown, she appeared noble, holy, and inviolable. But upon seeing the door leading into the room, Her Majesty, who had just ascended the throne, blushed instantly, and her eyes became as flustered as a deer's. The door. Mr. Doorway. She lifted her skirt, intending to bow, but Tobirama stopped her with a gesture. Tobirama slammed the door shut behind him, his gaze fixed intently on Fuka Koyuki before him. It must be said that the elegant, austere look of this famous dress on her actually ignites a man's most primal desire to conquer. They pulled the queen down from her pedestal, making her appear as a mortal. This is the ultimate happiness. This outfit is nice. Tobirama walked up to her, his fingers gently tracing the intricate embroidery on her collar. It suits you perfectly. Thank you, thank you. Feng Hua Xiaoshui's heart raced. She knew perfectly well what was about to happen. Should I change out of this outfit? It's too heavy and a bit inconvenient. No. A mischievous smile crept across Tobirama's lips as he leaned close to her ear and whispered. Wear this. I love seeing you wearing the crown. Don't forget, by day you are the queen of the Snow Kingdom, ruling over all people. But at night, in this house, you are my private property. Feng Hua Xiaoshui shuddered, her legs feeling weak. This embarrassing situation made her face turn so red it felt like it was about to bleed. To do that kind of thing while wearing such a formal dress, it's so bad. But, this is the symbol of a daimyo. She was still making a last-ditch effort. It's precisely because it's a symbol of a daimyo that conquering it is so interesting. Tobirama scooped her up in his arms and carried her straight to the large velvet bed. Quote. Feng Hua Xiaoshui exclaimed in surprise, her crown tilting slightly, which only added to her disheveled beauty. Xiaoshui, didn't you say you wanted spring? Tobirama placed her on the bed, supporting himself with his hands on either side of her, as if watching a lamb to the slaughter. The snow and ice in the Land of Snow are so thick that they require sufficient heat to melt. Tonight, I'll make up for all the coldness of these past 10 years. Before Feng Hua Xiaoshui could speak, her lips were forcefully sealed with a kiss. Immediately afterwards, it is a fierce battle about breaking the ice and melting it. Outside the window, the temperature was tens of degrees below zero, with extreme cold and snow. Inside, however, the heat was intense. Tobirama, Lord, No, the crown is going to fall off. Put on your crown. That's an order. Wah, you're bullying me. Is this what you call bullying? Where did that arrogant queen go? She finally understood what spring was all about. It was a heat that emanated from the depths of the body, a heat powerful enough to melt the soul. On this night, she completely forgot the bitter cold of the snow country. Because in her world, there was only one man who shone as brightly as the sun. Until the sky began to lighten with the first hint of dawn. This special coronation ceremony finally came to a close. Her Majesty the Queen of the Snow Kingdom lay exhausted on the bed, her dress disheveled yet stubbornly still on. The man who had accomplished his conquest was now contentedly embracing his spoils. It seems the snow has really melted. Episode 52 Tsunade's Special Mental Guidance. The overworked Hokage. At the gates of the snow country, at the entrance to the Windflower City. The morning wind was still biting, but for Fukakoyuki, who had already reached the top of the country's snowstorm, the wind seemed to carry a hint of warmth. Are you really leaving? Fanghua Xiaoshui was dressed in a magnificent queen's robe, yet she looked like a little girl about to be abandoned, her hands tightly clutching the hem of her dress, her eyes red-rimmed. Even though we were incredibly intimate last night, and we were practically exhausted, the moment of parting still came too quickly. There's still something going on in Konoha. Tobirama Uchiha stood in the snow, still with that calm and collected demeanor. Take it. Tobirama casually tossed out a specially made kunai engraved with a strange magical formula. The kunai is entirely black, with the flying thunder god's mark engraved on the handle. Fanghua Xiaoshui hurriedly caught it, holding it in her hands as if it were a precious treasure. This isn't for you to keep as a souvenir. Tobirama reached out and tidied her bangs, which had been ruffled by the wind. If there's danger, or someone wants to rebel, or even, you miss me. Inject chakra into it. No matter where I am in the ninja world, I will appear before you the moment I see me. Fanghua Xiaoshui's heart trembled suddenly. This is a million times more pleasing to the ear than any sweet words. This means that from now on, the strongest man in the entire ninja world will stand behind her, although he may not always be there to protect her. Okay, I've got it. The wind, flowers, and light snow stopped their tears and turned to laughter, nodding emphatically. I will protect the Snow Kingdom and make it your most secure backyard. He's gone. Without another word, Tobirama turned and grabbed Yakura's shoulder. Brush. A flash of golden light. The two figures vanished instantly into the vast snowfield. Only Fukakoyuki remained, clutching the kunai still warm from her body, standing at the city gate, unwilling to leave for a long time. Konoha, Hokage's office. Space distorted. Tobirama appeared out of nowhere with Yakura. Quote. As soon as he landed, Tobirama raised an eyebrow. Behind the large desk, in the seat that had originally belonged to him, sat a graceful figure. Tsunade. But today, Tsunade's outfit is a bit unfair. Instead of wearing her usual green gambling robe, she changed into a standard black business suit. The tight white shirt was so stretched that the buttons were about to pop off by her impressive bust. Her long legs, covered in black stockings, were crossed beneath her pencil skirt, and she even had a pair of gold-rimmed glasses perched on her nose. She exudes the aura of a mature, intellectual, yet extremely alluring female secretary. Tsunade, who was engrossed in reviewing documents, was startled by Tobirama's sudden appearance. You're back? Why didn't you even say hello? Tsunade pushed up her glasses, her cheeks slightly flushed. Clearly, this outfit was meant to surprise someone, but the surprise turned into a shock. Tobirama's lips curled into a playful smile as his gaze swept over her without restraint. Who taught you to wear this outfit? It's none of your business. Tsunade, forcing herself to remain calm, slammed a document on the table. Isn't this all to help you deal with all this crap? I'm practically the Hokage's secretary now. Tobirama chuckled and casually tossed a huge scroll to Yakura behind him. Yakura, these are the complete technical blueprints for the Snow Country's chakra armor, along with samples. Send it to Orochimaru and tell him to stop slacking off all day. I need to see a mass-produced, improved version within 2 weeks. After you've delivered the goods, go home and rest. You don't need to report back. Yes, master. Yakura took the scroll, glanced knowingly at Tsunade behind the desk, and secretly clicked her tongue in amazement. These women from Konoha are definitely from the big city. They know how to have fun better than me. She bowed, quickly disappeared, and thoughtfully closed the heavy office door behind her, hanging a "Do Not Disturb" sign. Only 2 people remained in the office. The ambiguous atmosphere in the air began to ferment rapidly. But Tsunade took a deep breath, her expression turning serious. Tobirama, stop fooling around. We have important business to attend to. Before you left, you asked me to seize the assets of the F4 family. The results are in. As she said this, Tsunade's fingers cracked, and the anger in her eyes almost burst forth. Explain. Quote. Tobirama walked to the sofa, sat down, and lit a cigarette. Shocking. Tsunade gritted her teeth and handed a thick list to Tobirama. The cash found in the Sarutobi clan's underground vault alone amounts to a staggering 600 billion ryo. And that doesn't even include the antiques, ninjutsu scrolls, and land deeds. Shimura Danzo was even more ruthless. Numerous records of human experimentation were discovered at the root base, along with the bodies of many long-lost bloodline limit ninja from various clans. Tsunade's voice was trembling. What's most infuriating is, I found the truth behind the decline of the Senju clan in a top-secret file. After his second grandfather passed away, Hiruzen Sarutobi and Danzo joined forces, outwardly respecting the Senju clan, but secretly sending all the Senju clan's elite troops on certain death-defying S-rank missions. They tampered with the awakening potion for the Senju clan children, causing many clan members to be unable to refine chakra and ultimately becoming commoners. The Uchiha clan is the same, they've been pushed to the brink step by step. These bastards, they're practically sucking the blood of Konoha, eating their own comrades. Tsunade became more and more emotional as she spoke, tears welling up in her eyes. She had always believed that the Senju clan had declined naturally, but she never imagined that they had been deliberately exterminated. And the murderer was none other than her most respected teacher. Snap. Tobirama also slammed his fist in indignation. But it wasn't on the table, he just slammed it too. Having read the script, he already knew all about these things. This is why he wanted to wipe out F4 completely. Alright. Tobirama stood up and walked to his desk. He reached out and pressed his hand on Tsunade's trembling shoulder, patting it gently. What's past cannot be changed. But the future is in our hands. Though these rats are dead, this debt still needs to be settled. A cold glint flashed in Tobirama's eyes. Pass down the notice. A village-wide meeting will be held tomorrow morning. Post all this evidence, even photocopies, throughout the streets and alleys of Konoha. I want to utterly ruin F4's reputation. Even in death, they will be nailed to the pillar of shame, never to rise again. Okay, I'll arrange it right away. Tsunade wiped away the tears from the corners of her eyes and turned to leave. Wait. Tobirama suddenly reached out, grabbed her wrist, and pulled her slightly. Quote. Tsunade gasped in surprise, lost her balance, and slumped onto the large Hokage chair. Tobirama then took the opportunity to lean in, placing his hands on the armrests and trapping her between the chair and himself. Now that we've finished discussing business, shouldn't we talk about personal matters? Tobirama looked down at her, his gaze lingering on the curves of her body encased in her tight-fitting shirt. My Tsunade secretary. Tsunade's grief and indignation instantly turned into panic and embarrassment. She pushed up her glasses, her eyes darting around. Is there anything else personal? I have to go to work. Work? Quote. Tobirama chuckled softly, gently lifting her chin with his fingers, his fingertips caressing her rosy lips. The Hokage hasn't given the order, how can the secretary leave? Besides, didn't you wear this outfit just for me to see? If I don't do something, wouldn't I be letting your good intentions go to waste? Who said it was for you? I just thought it would be convenient. Tsunade stubbornly insisted, but her body had already gone limp. Yeah? Quote. Tobirama's hand slowly moved up her long, black stockinged legs. Let me check if these clothes are actually convenient. No, this is the office. Tsunade glanced nervously at the door. Although she knew no one would dare to come in, the sense of transgression she felt in the sacred Hokage's office made her tremble all over. There are secret agents patrolling outside. Then keep your voice down. Tobirama lowered his head and bit her sensitive earlobe. Or, use your mouth to stop the sound. Tobirama, you be ********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** trembling with emotion, a prelude to her falling into tears. She gripped Tobirama's shoulders weakly with both hands, her nails digging into his clothes. Call me master. Doorway hegemony and commanding path. No, don't call me. Not yelling? Looks like the punishment wasn't enough. With a wave of his hand, Tobirama swept all the documents off his desk and onto the floor. Then, he picked Tsunade up and placed her on the mahogany desk that symbolized the highest authority in Konoha. The coolness of the tabletop and the burning heat inside my body created a stark contrast. Now, let's start working overtime. As the Hokage, I will provide you with special guidance on thoroughly implementing the will of fire. As a secretary, your job is to cooperate, and to really understand. Before Tsunade could retort, her mouth was sealed by a storm of kisses. Outside the window, the sun shines brightly, and Konoha village is peaceful and serene. Meanwhile, inside the Hokage's office, a high-level meeting with only 2 people was in full swing. The desk creaked under its own weight, as if accusing the shameless couple. His glasses were taken off and tossed onto a pile of classified documents. The high heels were kicked onto the carpet. His black business attire became disheveled during the vigorous movements. Tsunade bit her hand hard, trying not to make a sound. The feeling of being possessed at will by this man who controlled the entire ninja world, at the center of absolute power, left her mind blank. Shame, excitement, and pleasure intertwined, engulfing her like a tidal wave. Tobirama, I was wrong, please forgive me. It's too late. This day, the Hokage's office door remained closed for the entire afternoon, but due to the barrier, no sound could escape. All the members of the Secret Service who passed by consciously detoured, and silently sighed in their hearts. The Hokage works so hard for the village, even working through the night. Episode 53. Abolish the daimyo uniform. The army approaches the daimyo capital. The following morning, Konoha's Central Plaza. A huge crowd gathered in front of the notice board. Tens of thousands of villagers stared intently at the photos, photocopies of account books, and anatomical diagrams of human experiments plastered all over the wall. Tobirama Uchiha stood on the high platform, his expression indifferent, holding a list in his hand. Take a look. His voice, amplified by a ninjutsu, resounded throughout every corner of Konoha. This is the kind of thing your once respected third Hokage and those 3 highly respected advisors did behind the scenes. Hiruzen Sarutobi embezzled 200 billion ryo of S-rank mission compensation funds, transferring it all to the Sarutobi clan's underground treasury. Shimura Danzo colluded with foreign enemies, using orphans and families with bloodline limits in the village for human experiments, resulting in the deaths of over 3,000 people. Mitomon Homura and Utatane Kaharu have monopolized the village's medicinal herb and soldier ration pill business, inflating prices and suppressing the advancement path for commoner ninjas. The demise of the Senju clan and the marginalization by the Uchiha clan were both their doing. As one case after another was uncovered, a series of bloody crimes were revealed. The crowd erupted in chaos. You beast! Give us back our money. My brother disappeared within route. It turns out he was killed by Danzo. A life for a life. Is this the will of fire? Is this the Konoha leadership we've been fighting so hard to protect? They're utterly rotten. Hiruzen Sarutobi, you'll die a horrible death. Angry roars echoed throughout the room. Many ninjas who lost loved ones knelt on the ground, weeping bitterly. The once kind and compassionate image of Ren Shang completely collapsed at this moment, transforming him into a devil whom everyone wanted to kill. The F4 family has been utterly disgraced. Tobirama watched this scene, a cold smile flashing in his eyes. Public support is valuable. The time has come. He raised his hand, and the entire room fell silent instantly as everyone looked at Tobirama. The sinner has either escaped or is dead. But that's not all. Tobirama's voice suddenly became impassioned, carrying a domineering aura that could overturn the world. Why do they dare to do this? Why do they dare to treat the village like their own backyard? Because they have a so-called powerful figure backing them up. That good-for-nothing nobleman who only knows how to eat, drink, and be merry, and doesn't even have chakra. What gives him the right to ride roughshod over us? What gives him the right to control our economic lifeline? Everyone was stunned by these words. It's one thing to insult the Hokage, but now they're even insulting the daimyo? That's the head of state. Starting today, Tobirama waved his hand. Konoha, abolish the daimyo system. I will no longer accept investiture from daimyo, and I will no longer be subject to their control. From today onwards, Konoha establishes a Ministry of Civil Affairs to uniformly manage all finances and administration of the Land of Fire. From now on, there will only be one voice in the Land of Fire, and that will be the voice of Konoha and its people. We, the people of Konoha, are the true masters of this country. Boom! After a brief silence, cheers erupted, 10 times louder than before. Long live Lord Tobirama. It should have been done a long time ago. What else can those nobles do besides collect taxes? I'll take charge. I'll follow Lord Tobirama. To hell with your name. Might makes right. For a long time, although ninjas possessed power, they were always regarded as tools and lackeys by the daimyo. Although the common people were numerous, they were oppressed and exploited by the daimyo and nobles. This distorted system had long harbored resentment among countless ninjas and ordinary people. Now that Tobirama has shattered these shackles with his own hands, he has instantly ignited the passion in everyone's blood. Very good. Quote. Tobirama turned around and looked at the Uchiha elite troops behind him, who were already fully prepared and ready to go, as well as the fanatical Konoha ninja. Since the Great Lord dared to send someone to make me kneel down, then today, we'll go to Daming Prefecture and teach him what manners are. All troops, attack. Target. The capital of the daimyo. The capital of the Land of Fire, Daimyo Prefecture. This is the most prosperous place in the Land of Fire, and also the center of power. But in the past few days, the entire capital has been shrouded in panic. Inside Daming Prefecture, chaos reigned. The obese daimyo Maruyama sat on his golden throne, his entire body trembling with fat. The folding fan in his hand had been broken, and the thick white powder on his face was washed away by cold sweat, leaving deep furrows. How could this be? How could this be? The daimyo trembled as he looked at the intelligence report in his hand. That madman, he really killed the special envoy. He even abolished my system. And he's going to bring troops to attack. They've rebelled. They've completely rebelled. These ninjas are going to revolt. The ministers below were also ashen-faced and trembling with fear. My lord, think of something quickly. That killing god Tobirama Uchiha wiped out Sanagakure with a meteorite. What can we possibly use to stop him? Where are the 12 guardian ninja? Quickly, call them to protect us. Don't even mention those 12 good-for-nothings. A samurai leader cried out in despair. I heard Tobirama Uchiha is coming. 8 of them ran away last night. The remaining 4 are writing their wills. Damn it, a bunch of useless trash. What use are they to me? He was so angry that he smashed his teacup on the ground. You're a great lord. At this moment, a relatively calm minister stepped forward and offered a suggestion. We have no choice but to call for help. By doing this, Tobirama Uchiha is challenging the entire order of the ninja world. He's slapping all the daimyo in the face. You should immediately write letters to the daimyo of the 4 kingdoms of wind, thunder, earth, and water. Tell them the principle of, if the lips are gone, the teeth will be cold. Have them immediately assemble a coalition of samurai and ninja from all nations to come to the emperor's aid. With the 5 great nations joining forces, I refuse to believe we can't suppress Konoha. Daming's eyes lit up, as if he had grasped at a lifeline. Yes, I have allies. I am the legitimate successor. Quickly, send my urgent order. Tell the other 4 daimyo that if they are willing to send troops, I am willing to cede half. No, most of the land and wealth of the Land of Fire. Anything is negotiable as long as my life is spared. Within 2 days, several ninja hawks flew to various parts of the ninja world. Land of Earth, Daimyo Prefecture. The daimyo of the Land of Earth looked at the letter pleading for help in his hand, and was about to slam his fist on the table and angrily denounce Konoha's atrocities. A faint, eerie voice suddenly came from the side. My lord, if you dare send troops, I can't guarantee how long your head will remain on your neck. At this moment, Kyoto, who had already succeeded as the 4th Tsuchikage, had a gloomy look in his eyes. Iwagakure cannot withstand another war. If you want to die, don't take us with you. The daimyo of the Land of Earth flicked his wrist, and the letter fluttered to the ground. Then, let's just pretend we didn't see it. Land of Lightning, Daimyo Prefecture. Help? Help my A. The daimyo of the Land of Lightning tore the letter to shreds. The raikage of Kumogakure is still being touted as a decoration in Konoha. The reparations haven't been paid in full yet. Do you want Tobirama Uchiha to come back to Kumogakure and throw meteors at us again? Reply to the Land of Fire. Our country is currently preoccupied with internal affairs and is unable to provide assistance. Best of luck. The Land of Winds, Daimyo Prefecture. Guards, cut off the messenger's head and send it to Lord Tobirama to use as a football. The Land of Water, Daimyo Prefecture. Too far, I can't get there. Do not disturb. 2 days later, outside the capital of the Land of Fire, Daimyo Maruyama stood atop the high city wall, gazing into the distance with longing. There were no reinforcements. No allies. It was as if the whole world had abandoned him. He was met only with a deathly silence. It's over. It's all over. Daming slumped to the ground, his eyes vacant. Those powerful figures from various countries who usually treated him like a brother didn't dare utter a single word in the face of absolute violence. Just then, a black line appeared on the horizon. Rumble. Thousands of Konoha ninjas, dressed in uniform tactical vests, slowly approached the capital like a torrent. A feudal lord? Tobirama's voice wasn't loud, but it clearly penetrated the thick castle walls and resounded in the daimyo's ears. I am coming. Quote, are you going to roll out here on your own, or should I level this city and dig you out? As daimyo gazed upon that despairing power, his last shred of hope was utterly shattered. He knew that the era of the nobility had come to an end. Boom. Before Ming could even speak, Tobirama seems to have lost patience. He directly used the Nine Tails chakra mode. The Nine Tails phantom suddenly opened its mouth, and a jet black-tailed beast ball instantly condensed. Since you won't open the door, I'll open it myself. Boom. A devastating beam of light shot out. The supposedly indestructible steel city gate, along with half of the city wall, instantly vaporized in a white light. The entire capital was trembling violently, as if a magnitude 10 earthquake had struck. The smoke and dust cleared. A wide road, hundreds of meters wide, leads directly to Daming Prefecture. Episode 54. A famous name by the roadside. Black Zetsu makes his move. Before the ruins of the city gate of the Fire Kingdom's capital. Smoke filled the air. Although the city gate was blasted open by a cannon, the resistance inside seemed more tenacious, or rather, foolish, than expected. Thousands of elite samurai from the daimyo's mansion, along with a group of wandering ninjas hired at great expense, stood trembling, swords raised, blocking the only road leading to the daimyo's mansion. Behind them were even more archers. For fame, stop him. A reward of 100 million taels of silver will be given to anyone who stops him. The samurai commander roared hysterically, trying to dispel the fear in his men's hearts with money. Standing atop the ruins, Tobirama Uchiha looked at the dense swarm of ants before him, a hint of impatience flashing in his eyes. Is this what they call the last line of defense? He neither drew his sword nor formed any hand seals. The chakra within his body instantly boiled, and golden light shot into the sky. Nine Tails chakra mode activated. Susanoo in full armor. Boom! A gigantic, mountain-sized golden nine-tailed fox appeared out of thin air, and then, deep purple armor quickly covered the fox's entire body like flowing liquid. The enormous Susanoo wielded two long swords burning with black flames, and with a gentle sweep of its 9 tails, the surrounding air exploded with a crackling sound. This colossal structure, towering thousands of meters high, appeared abruptly in the heart of the capital. The visual impact was so overwhelming that it left everyone who tried to resist momentarily blank in their minds. What kind of monster is this? The samurai commander's sword clattered to the ground. Disappear. Tobirama stood atop the imposing 9 tails, waving indifferently. The golden giant fox swung its long sword out suddenly, and at the same time, a jet black-tailed beast ball condensed at the tip of the blade. The beast's calamity, a single slash from the heavens. Buzz. The world seemed to fall silent at that moment. A purplish-black slash wave, thousands of meters long, carrying the destructive energy of a tailed beast ball, swept out. The thousands of samurai and ninjas, along with the streets, houses, and fortifications behind them, were instantly vaporized upon contact with this wave of light. The ground was skirned into a bottomless canyon that stretched to the horizon. Rumble. The loud explosion finally arrived, albeit belatedly. Half of the entire capital city was completely wiped off the map by this attack. This was the result of Tobirama's deliberate control. If Tobirama wanted to, he could have easily pulverized the entire capital city and the surrounding area within 10,000 meters at any time. The smoke and dust cleared. The once crowded streets are now deserted. All that remained was scorched earth and a few broken pieces of armor. One strike. Thousands of soldiers were annihilated. This is the power of God. The few surviving soldiers in the corners knelt on the ground, their crotches soaked, kowtowing repeatedly. We surrender. We surrender. Don't kill me. Wah. Tobirama deactivated his armor mode and landed lightly on the ground. Clear the road. I'm going to meet that esteemed name. The Konoha ninjas behind him were all fired up, their eyes burning with fervor as they gazed at their Hokage's retreating figure. This is their leader. What famous name. What noble family. Before absolute power, everything else is a joke. The main hall of the daimyo's residence. The deafening explosions outside ceased. The daimyo of the Land of Fire knelt in the center of the hall, but began to tremble. His once proud army is gone. His heavily invested defenses are gone. My lord, run. Run through the tunnels. The minister beside him called out anxiously. Run? Where to run? Ming let out a bitter laugh, his fat face jiggling wildly. Just then, thump, thump, thump. Footsteps approached. The door was pushed open. Tobirama Uchiha walked in, followed by a group of Uchiha elites exuding murderous intent. There wasn't a speck of dust on him, as if he hadn't just gone to wipe out an army, but was returning from a picnic. The moment they saw Tobirama, the daimyo seemed to have a switch flipped. He lunged forward, kneeling directly on the ground, even sliding several meters on his knees until he reached Tobirama's feet. "Lord Tobirama, you've finally arrived." The man raised his head, and a fawning smile, more hideous than a grimace, forced onto his face, which was covered in white powder. "It's a misunderstanding. It's all a misunderstanding. It's Hiruzen Sarutobi, and that damned envoy Inoue. They've all misled me. I was instigated by treacherous people, and that's why I was momentarily confused and disrespectful to you. You are a hero of Konoha, the guardian deity of the land of fire. How could I dare to oppose you?" As he spoke, he tried to curry favor with Tobirama. "Don't worry. From today onwards, I'm no longer the daimyo. You are the daimyo. I'll give you the keys to the national treasury. I'll give you my harem. Oh no, I'll give you all my daughters. I just ask you to ignore me." The sight made the Konoha ninjas behind them feel nauseous. Is this the same person who usually acts superior and bosses them around? Is this the nobleman who holds the reins of the nation's destiny? Now it's begging for mercy like a mangy dog. Tobirama looked down at the lump of fat at his feet called daimyo. The disgust in his eyes was undisguised. "Misunderstand?" Quote. Tobirama stepped on the daimyo's hand, which was trying to touch his trouser leg, and applied slight pressure. "Ah!" Quote. A blood-curdling scream, like a pig being slaughtered, rang out. The daimyo's handbones shattered instantly. "That's not what you said when you sent someone to make me kneel." Tobirama said coldly. "That's not what you said when you gathered your army to kill me. Now that you've lost, you're blaming the dead? Not only is he a piece of trash, he's also a coward. Spare me, spare me." Daming was in so much pain that snot and tears streamed down his face. He kowtowed frantically until his forehead bled. "I really won't do it again. I am a daimyo. I am of royal blood. You can't kill me. If you kill me, other countries will." "Other countries?" Tobirama scoffed. "You waited 2 days, did anyone come to rescue you? Open your dog eyes and look. This is the age of ninjas. So-called royal blood is worthless in the face of power. Since you like kneeling so much." Tobirama raised his right foot, a savage red light flashing in his eyes. "Then go kneel in hell." Boom. He kicked it out. It hit daimyo's head squarely. Splat. It's like a ripe watermelon being smashed with a hammer. Red and white splattered all over the ground. The screams stopped abruptly. The enormous, headless corpse swayed twice before collapsing heavily to the ground. The daimyo of the land of fire died. The daimyo who claimed to be of noble royal blood was like a stray dog on the roadside, kicked to death by Tobirama. The ministers and maids inside the hall screamed in terror and collapsed to the ground. Tobirama withdrew his foot and rubbed it disdainfully against the daimyo's clothes. "Uchiha Setsuna, your subordinate is here," Uchiha Setsuna exclaimed, his face flushed with excitement. "Clean up Daming Prefecture." Tobirama gestured to the trembling nobles around him. "Kill all those good-for-nothings who oppress the people and do nothing but eat and drink. Those with real skills, management abilities, and accounting skills, stay and bring them back to the Konoha Civil Affairs Department to work. From this day forward, the Land of Fire will no longer have a daimyo's residence, only the Konoha office." "Yes." Quote. With a swift wave of his hand, the Uchiha clansmen were like tigers among sheep. On this day, blood flowed like a river in Daming Prefecture. The malignant tumor of the old era was completely eradicated by Tobirama in the most violent and direct way. 3 days later, the ninja world was shaken. If the previous destruction of kingdoms only instilled fear in people, then the Shadow Killer was merely a terrifying force. The news of the daimyo's assassination and the abolition of the daimyo system completely overturned everyone's understanding. For centuries, ninjas have served the daimyo. This has been an ironclad rule. But now, Tobirama Uchiha has broken this ironclad rule with his own hands. He told everyone, ninjas are no longer tools, but wielders of swords. The daimyo of the Land of Earth moved overnight and hid deep in the mountains and forests. The daimyo of the Land of Lightning handed over the keys to the national treasury to the hidden cloud village, fearing that one day the Raikage might try to emulate Tobirama. The entire landscape of the ninja world was completely changed because of that one kick. All eyes were on Konoha, and on the man named Uchiha Tobirama. Ah, fear, worship. Tobirama is now the undisputed emperor of the ninja world. Late at night, Konoha, Tobirama's residence. After cleaning up the mess in the daimyo's manor, Tobirama returned home with a large amount of spoils and talented people. After washing away the stench of blood, he lay wearily on the large, soft bed. Tsunade and Konan were still working overtime to handle the affairs of the newly established Ministry of Civil Affairs, while Yekuro was in charge of security. The house was quiet. Quote. As soon as Tobirama lay down, his hand touched something hard on the side of the pillow. Upon picking it up, it turned out to be an antique black scroll. Who put it there? Tobirama instantly became alert and sat up. If Tsunade and the others put it there, they would definitely tell him. Moreover, the aura emanating from this scroll is extremely ancient, carrying a chilling feeling. He activated his Rinnegan with 6 Tomo, opening all his senses. There were no signs of unauthorized entry into the house. I managed to slip the item to his pillow without him noticing. In this ninja world, apart from Black Zetsu, who has lived for over 1,000 years and is known for his filial piety, there is probably no one else like him. Interesting. Quote. A playful smile appeared on Tobirama's lips. He broke the seal on the scroll and slowly unfurled it. By the moonlight, the contents of the scroll came into view. It wasn't ninjutsu, nor was it intelligence. Rather, it is a forgotten piece of history, or rather, a story that has been altered. The 6 paths immortal created the world, dividing it into yin and yang. Brother Indra, younger brother Asura. The Uchiha and Senju clans share the same origin. Only through the unity of yin and yang can one attain the myriad phenomena of the universe. The book, spanning several thousand words, recounts the origins and grudges of the Uchiha and Senju clans. But at the very end of the scroll was a strange map. The destination points to the Naga Shrine, a place within Konoha village. Below that was a line of small, blood-red text. To know the truth of the world, and to obtain eternal power, please go to the Naga Shrine and examine the stone tablet left behind by the Sage of 6 Paths. There are records of the Uchiha clan's true power there. Tobirama closed the scroll, and flames of chakra rose in his hand, burning it to ashes. Black Zetsu. It seems I've made too much of a commotion. Even the mastermind behind it all has to get out of there. Are you trying to guide me to activate the infinite Tsukuyomi? Or are you trying to use me to resurrect Kaguya? Tobirama stood up, walked to the window, and looked in the direction of the Naga Shrine. If it were Madara from the original work, he probably would have believed it already. Unfortunately, he was a time traveler. Since you want to play, I'll play with you. Episode 55 Uchiha Madara. The Truth Revealed. Konoha, the secret underground chamber of Naga Shrine. Tobirama Uchiha stood before the ancient stone tablet, by the flickering candlelight. His gaze swept over the inscription on the stone tablet. Hey! Tobirama let out a disdainful sneer, his fingers gently tracing the cold engravings on the stone tablet. It really has been completely altered beyond recognition. That cunning old fox Black Zetsu really went to great lengths to save his mother, weaving such a huge lie to completely fool the entire Uchiha clan. Even he, without reading the script, would probably be misled by the contents of this stone tablet. After all, this is something left behind by the Sage of 6 Paths. Now that you're here, why are you hiding? Tobirama suddenly turned around, his gaze sharp as lightning, fixing on a shadowy spot in the corner of the secret room. You really think that by blending into the ground, I won't be able to find you? The corner was deathly silent, there was no response. They won't shed tears until they see the coffin. Tobirama shook his head, extended his right hand, and aimed it at the shadow. The power of the Rinnegan with 6 Tomo erupted. All things guide the heavens. Buzz. The terrifying gravity instantly distorted space. The previously empty ground suddenly began to ripple, and then a bizarre, pitch-black creature was forcibly pulled out of the ground. What? This suction force. Black Zetsu was terrified and tried desperately to struggle, but under the absolute control of the Rinnegan, he flew into Tobirama's hand in a flash. Snap. Tobirama grabbed Black Zetsu by the neck and lifted him into the air. Nice to meet you, Black Zetsu. Tobirama said jokingly. Your eyes? Black Zetsu stared intently at the Rinnegan in Tobirama's eye socket, at the 6 Tomo on the ripples. Rinnegan, this is impossible. How could you possibly have this eye? Black Zetsu was completely panicked. He had been lying in wait for over 1,000 years. Both Indra and Ban were part of his scheme. But the man before him was completely beyond his expectations. Tobirama tightened his grip slightly, and Black Zetsu immediately felt as if his body was about to be crushed. I really dislike you, you rat hiding in the sewers. Have you decided how you want to die? Black Zetsu sensed a real killing intent. He knew this man was absolutely capable of killing him. They must shift the blame. They must deflect the blame elsewhere. No, don't kill me. Black Zetsu screamed, his voice hoarse and unpleasant. I'm just a consciousness. I am the embodiment of Lord Uchiha Madara's will. This was all part of Lord Madara's plan. I was just following orders. If you want to know the truth, or seek greater power, I can take you to see Lord Madara. He is deep underground. He must be very interested in you. After all, you're also a member of the Uchiha clan. Spots? Tobirama raised an eyebrow, secretly amused. This guy really knows how to betray his teammates incredibly fast. In that case, lead the way. Tobirama loosened his grip slightly, lifting Black Zetsu like he was carrying trash. I was just thinking of going to see what kind of state that legendary Madara is in now. In the land of grass, there lies a hidden underground cave. Buried thousands of meters underground, this place is dark, decaying, and filled with the withered, decaying scent of an old man on his deathbed. A colossal demonic statue sat cross-legged in the darkness, 9 chains connecting it to a withered, emaciated old man, sustaining his final moments of life. Madara Uchiha, the once mighty Asura of the ninja world, is now nothing but a frail, aged shell. Although his closed eyes were empty, the aura of arrogance emanating from him remained undiminished. Buzz. A spatial vortex appeared. Tobirama, carrying Black Zetsu, appeared out of thin air in front of the golem. Seemingly sensing a similar but more powerful chakra, Madara, who had been dormant, suddenly opened his eyes. Although it was a transplanted Sharingan, it still radiated a chilling light. Black Zetsu? Why are you back? Ban's voice was old and hoarse, tinged with a hint of doubt. Then, his gaze fell on Tobirama. When he saw Tobirama's pair of Rinnegan with the shape of a Magatama eye, even Madara, with his wrinkled face, showed unprecedented shock. That is, Ban struggled to sit up, the tubes behind him rattling loudly. The Rinnegan, and it's the 6 Tomo type. Who are you? A descendant of the Uchiha clan? Could it be that my plan has succeeded? Ban was a little confused. The vast, ocean-like power of the young man's eyes and chakra was even more terrifying than Hashirama at his peak combined. Tobirama casually tossed Black Zetsu to the ground, clapped his hands, and looked at the old man hanging from the tube in front of him, a hint of pity flashing in his eyes. A once powerful figure, his downfall was marked by this. And they're living in a huge lie. Uchiha Madara. Tobirama spoke softly, his voice echoing in the empty cavern. I am Tobirama Uchiha, the current head of the Uchiha clan and the Hokage of Konoha. Nice to meet you. I brought you a small gift, a truth. The truth? Quote. Ban narrowed his eyes, resuming his arrogant demeanor. Young man, you possess eyesight surpassing mine. You are indeed qualified to stand before me. Now that you've also awakened the Rinnegan, you must have already seen the stone tablet at the Naka Shrine, right? Are you ready to embrace the new world? For true peace, for severing the karmic ties of this world. The infinite Tsukuyomi. Ban looked fanatical, like a cult leader preaching. He was certain that anyone who had awakened the Rinnegan would understand his grand ideal. However, PFF'd. Tobirama couldn't help but laugh out loud. What are you laughing at? Ban frowned, a surge of anger rising within him. I laugh at you for being a fool. Tobirama said without any politeness. Infinite Tsukuyomi? True peace? Ban, you don't actually think that pulling everyone into a dream and making them into a vegetable will save the world, do you? The so-called infinite Tsukuyomi is not a world-saving technique at all. That was a harvesting ritual that turned all of humanity into white Zetsu weapons, used to resurrect Kaguya Otsutsuki. Boom. Upon hearing this, Ban was struck dumb. He froze on the golem. What? What did you say? Ban's voice suddenly rose, filled with disbelief and anger. Nonsense. The inscription on the stone tablet clearly states that it was left by the Sage of 6 Paths. Resurrect Kaguya? Turn her into a white Zetsu? What nonsense are you spouting? That's my lifelong dream. He couldn't accept it. He had been planning this for decades, even faking his own death, using Obito and Nagato to meticulously orchestrate a grand scheme. Now I'm being told it's a scam? This is worse than killing him. Lord Ban, don't listen to his nonsense. Black Zetsu on the ground was in a panic. If he were exposed now, he would be finished. He screamed and jumped up. He's lying. He's trying to undermine your resolve. The stone tablet was left by the Sage of 6 Paths. How could it be fake? I am the embodiment of your will. How could I possibly lie to you? Yes. Madara looked at Black Zetsu, his gaze calming slightly. Black Zetsu is a will I created using yin-yang release. He cannot betray me. Boy, although you're strong, you're still too green to try and fool this old man with such a low-level lie. Looking at this pair, Tobirama shook his head helplessly. This old man has been completely fooled. They won't give up until they reach the Yellow River. Your will? Tobirama pointed at Black Zetsu, his eyes instantly turning sharp. Ban, have you ever thought about this? If he truly is your will, why does he know so many ancient secrets that even you are unaware of? Why is it that only those who have awakened the Rinnegan can see the full contents of the stone tablet, while he, a mere black mud without any eye techniques, knows it all? Besides, Tobirama's figure flashed, instantly appearing in front of Madara, his 6 Tomo Rinnegan staring intently into Madara's murky eyes. Your so-called awakening of the Rinnegan was also guided. The chakra of Indra and Ashura combined. All of this was orchestrated by this dark entity behind the scenes, all to allow you to resurrect his mother, Kaguya Otsutsuki. You, Uchiha Madara, think you're a chess player. In truth, from beginning to end, you were merely a pawn in the hands of this lump of black mud. A pathetic pawn used to revive his mother. Sumaguchi, Madara roared, unleashing a burst of chakra that nearly snapped the tubes on his back. I am Uchiha Madara, the Asura of the ninja world. No one can take advantage of me. Although he said that, a seed of doubt had already been planted in Madara's heart. Because Tobirama explained it in too much detail. Kaguya, Otsutsuki, how could such detailed information be obtained without knowing the inside story? Don't believe me? Tobirama's lips curled into a slight smile. That's true. For someone as proud as you, admitting you've been a fool your whole life is indeed very difficult. However, I have a way to shut you up. Black Zetsu, come here. With his other hand, Tobirama grabbed Black Zetsu, who was about to burrow underground to escape, and pulled him back. No, no, Black Zetsu screamed like a pig being slaughtered. Lord Madara. Save me, he's using genjutsu. Ban, instead of listening to my nonsense. Why don't you see it for yourself? This lump of black mud holds thousands of years of filthy memories. Episode 56 Mastering the Power of Life and Death. Madara dances. View memories? As Madara Uchiha leaned against the demonic statue, a glint of shrewdness flashed in his murky eyes. Although his body had decayed, his mind remained that of a cunning and ruthless ninja. Boy, memories are elusive things. How do you plan to let me see what's in his head? Illusions can be faked. Illusion? Tobirama chuckled softly, his eyes now displaying the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Ban, you underestimate those eyes. This is a power that surpasses that of Indra and Asura, and rivals that of the Sage of Six Paths. Memory extraction is one of the abilities I gained from the kaleidoscope. After saying that, Tobirama formed his 5 fingers into a claw and placed them on Black Zetsu's head. Soul stripping. Ah! Black Zetsu let out a piercing scream, a scream born from the deepest fear in his soul. Lord Ban, don't believe him. This is a trap. He's trying to control your mind with his eye technique. I am your will. How can you doubt yourself? Kill him. Control the golem and kill him. Black Zetsu struggled frantically, his body trying to slip through Tobirama's fingers like limp mud. But that hand was like an iron clamp, completely immovable. Seeing this scene, Madara's initial lingering doubts completely vanished after witnessing Black Zetsu's loss of composure. If you have nothing to hide, why are you so afraid? As a matter of principle, he should not display such a cowardly and servile attitude when facing external enemies. It's noisy, quote. Madara coldly uttered 3 words, his gaze towards Tobirama hardening. Let's get started. I want to see what kind of trickery is hidden in this lump of black mud. As you wish. A brilliant blue light emanated from Tobirama's hand. Get out here. Sizzle. A sound like tearing cloth rang out. A ball of eerie green light was forcibly extracted from Black Zetsu's body by Tobirama. That place holds Black Zetsu's memories spanning thousands of years. Black Zetsu instantly slumped down, collapsing to the ground like a lump of mud, muttering to himself, "It's over. It's all over, mother." Tobirama casually pushed the ball of memory light in front of Madara, where it floated in mid-air. Place your hand on it and channel chakra. You'll see everything you want to know, including how you've been fooled for decades. Van took a deep breath, and his withered hand tremblingly rose and pressed against the sphere of light. Chakra injection. Buzz. In an instant, a massive influx of information flooded Ban's mind. Time seemed to stand still at that moment. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Ban's expression began to change drastically. From initial calm, to doubt, then to shock, and finally to extreme distortion and rage. He saw it. He saw that Black Zetsu had altered the stone tablet at the Naka shrine, changing it to infinite Tsukuyomi. He saw Black Zetsu whisper in his ear, guiding him to transplant Hashirama's cells. He saw Black Zetsu secretly mocking him as a self-righteous fool, a perfect pawn. Even Obito and Nagato were part of Black Zetsu's plan. The so-called Eye of the Moon project was nothing but a hoax from beginning to end to revive Kaguya Otsutsuki. Roar. Ah! A blood-curdling roar erupted from Ban's parched throat. The voice was filled with boundless anger and self-mockery of his lifelong reputation. Fake. It's all fake. Infinite Tsukuyomi is fake. Peace is fake. This old man, Uchiha Madara, was actually manipulated by a lump of black mud. Puff. Overwhelmed by anger, Ban spat out a mouthful of black blood, his aura instantly weakening to its lowest point. That's ridiculous. He considered himself a chess player, using the heavens and earth as the chessboard and all living beings as chess pieces. In the end, he was the most pathetic clown. Madama-san. Black Zetsu on the ground watched this scene in despair, knowing that all was lost. Since he could no longer pretend, a look of resentment and venom appeared on his half-faced features. Hee hee. Uchiha Madara, don't feel wronged. Even Indra couldn't see through my scheme. You, a mere mortal, are honored to be able to contribute to the resurrected mother. And you, Tobirama Uchiha. Black Zetsu stared intently at Tobirama. You ruined mother's resurrection. You will be punished. This world will eventually. Are these your last words? Tobirama couldn't be bothered to listen to his nonsense. For this kind of troublemaker, every second we stay is a pollution to the air. Destroy it. Tobirama opened his palm and activated yin-yang release. No, mother, save me. Sizzle. Under the influence of yin-yang release, Black Zetsu had no chance to regenerate and instantly turned into a wisp of black smoke, completely dissipating from the world. The biggest mastermind behind the ninja world is dead. The cave returned to deathly silence. Only Ban's heavy, labored breathing could be heard. He seemed to have aged 10 years in an instant, and the light in his eyes had almost faded. His lifelong pursuit had turned into a joke. For the proud Madara, this blow was worse than death. Okay, the trash is all cleaned up. Tobirama clapped his hands, looking at the dejected old man before him. What? You've already given up hope? A dignified Asura of the ninja world, with such poor mental fortitude? Madara raised his head, his Rinnegan eyes were now dull and lifeless. Tobirama, I have lost. I didn't lose to Hashirama, I lost to my own stupidity. Now the truth is out, and you've seen how I've made a fool of myself. Did you come here to kill me? Go ahead, I don't even have the strength to resist now. Kill you? Tobirama shook his head, walked up to Madara, and looked down at him. I've come all this way, not to kill a frail old man. There's absolutely no sense of accomplishment in doing that. So what do you want to do? Ban frowned. Tobirama extended a hand, inviting Madara to join him. Ban, since the old dream is shattered, let's try a new one. The infinite Tsukuyomi is fake, but peace is real. I am building a completely new ninja world, an empire without daimyo, without nobles, where ninjas reign supreme. Are you interested in working with me? With us united, no one can stop us. Ban paused for a moment, then gave a wry smile. He looked at the tubes connecting him to the golem, then at his withered arm. Work with you? Tobirama, you think too highly of me. Look at the state I'm in now, I'm only hanging on by the golem. I can't survive a minute longer if I leave here. This is the epitome of a hero's decline. Body? Quote. Tobirama's lips curled into a confident and arrogant smile. If you want to, this isn't a problem. What do you mean? Ban was taken aback. Tobirama didn't explain, but instead abruptly closed his left eye and opened his right. The 9-Tomo Rinnegan spun wildly, unleashing an unprecedented, eerie energy that seemed capable of distorting reality. Right eye pupil technique. Divine all-encompassing. My right eye has the power to turn everything I think into reality. Tobirama's voice became solemn and grand. I will now begin my prayer. Grant me the power to control my life. In an instant, Tobirama felt that he had gained a new ability. He could use natural energy to change a person's lifespan. Buzz. A dazzling green gold beam of light, so bright it was impossible to look directly at, descended from the sky and enveloped Uchiha Madara, who was sitting in front of the golem. This power contains immense natural energy and yang release chakra, the most primal power of life. What is this? Ban's eyes widened. He felt a warm current rushing wildly over his decaying body. The dry skin began to become plump and rosy. The gray hair turned black and grew longer at a visible rate. The atrophied muscles bulged again, brimming with explosive power. Snap. The tube connecting the Gedo Mazo to his back actually snapped due to the repulsion from this enormous life force. But Madara did not die. Instead, his heart began to beat strongly. Thump, 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 like the thunder of war drums. This is impossible. Madara looked at his hands, which had regained their youth, and felt the terrifying power within him that even surpassed his prime. Rejuvenation? This is a miracle that only the Sage of Six Paths could accomplish, right? Just how strong was Tobirama Uchiha? The light faded. The frail, elderly man who used to be there is gone. Instead, there was a young man named Uchiha Madara, clad in red armor, with long, wildly flowing hair and an aura of dominance. Return to your peak 18-year-old self. Tobirama looked at his masterpiece and nodded in satisfaction. Although this move put his right eye's ability on cooldown for 7 days, he gained a peak-level Uchiha Madara as a henchman in return, making it a huge win. How are you? Are you satisfied with your body? Tobirama crossed his arms and laughed. Madara clenched his fist, and that long-lost sense of power made him want to roar to the sky. He raised his head, and a fierce fighting spirit rekindled in his eyes. This time, it was no longer blinded fanaticism, but pure, the arrogance of the strong. Uchiha Tobirama. Madara looked at Tobirama with an extremely complex expression. Shock, gratitude, and apprehension, ultimately transformed into a powerful desire to win. You're a monster. I never imagined the Uchiha clan would produce such a heaven-defying being as you. Since you gave me a new life, I should repay you. Madara's blue chakra suddenly erupted, instantly transforming into the initial form of Susanoo, which was tens of meters tall, and his giant hand grabbed directly at Tobirama. But, quote, you want me to submit? You want me to work with you? Kindness alone is not enough. In this ninja world, only the strong are worthy to command Uchiha Madara. Madara laughed wildly, his eyes blazing with fighting spirit. Come on, Tobirama, let me see if you're qualified to be the new king of the ninja world. If you can defeat me in my prime, I'd gladly sell my life to you. Instead of dodging the massive Susanoo fist that came crashing down, Tobirama excitedly licked his lips. He knew it. If things were obedient and compliant, then he wouldn't be Madara Uchiha. Perfect timing, he was itching to try it too. Then let's go. I'll beat you until you submit. Susanoo, open. Boom. A Susanoo even more solid and massive than Madara's instantly rose from the ground and delivered a punch to meet the attack. Dance, Madara. Episode 57 Enhanced version of Indra's Arrow. I am the second sage of Six Paths. Rumble. The earth groaned in agony. The once solid underground cavern had completely collapsed, revealing the gray sky above. Two colossal figures, hundreds of meters tall, are locked in a fierce battle atop the ruins. Amidst the flashing blades, each strike could cleave mountains, each step could shatter rivers. Ha ha ha, that's great, that's so great. Madara Uchiha stood between the eyebrows of the blue Susanoo, his black hair dancing wildly, a near maniacal smile on his face. This long-lost, visceral sense of combat ignited his blood, which had been dormant for decades. Tobirama, besides Hashirama, you're the first person who can excite me this much. But, that's not enough. This isn't even your full strength. Van makes a mudra with his hands. Wood release. Woodman technique. You're already excited? Tobirama stood amidst the red Susanoo, arms crossed, his eyes indifferent as water. Ban, you're already a remnant of the old era. Since you want to see the full power, then I'll show you what the difference in dimensions really means. Tobirama ignored wood release. His 6-tomo Rinnegan suddenly contracted. The vast, ocean-like Six Paths level chakra within his body erupted without reservation at this moment. Tailed Beast Chakra Extraction. The summoning beasts used in the arena range from the one-tailed beast to the nine-tailed beast, and Tobirama can use these beasts at will as a paid privilege. Moreover, these tailed beasts include not only the normal tailed beasts but also the lesser tailed beasts, and the tailed beasts native to the Naruto world. In other words, Tobirama could become the 10 Tails Jinchuriki at any time. Tobirama instantly extracted all the chakra from the tailed beasts. Buzz. At that moment, the world changed color. Behind Tobirama, 9 terrifying clusters of chakra, each a different color and possessing a different attribute, materialized out of thin air. The sand of Shukaku, 1-tailed sword. The fire of Neko, 2-tailed sword. The water of Isobu, 3-tailed sword. Until the fire of hatred of Kurama, 9-tailed sword. The chakra phantoms of the 9-tailed beasts, like 9 suns, revolved around the red Susanoo. That's the chakra of the nine-tailed beasts. Ban's smile froze on his face, and his pupils contracted sharply. No, that's not right, there are more than nine-tailed beasts. How is that possible? There are only nine-tailed beasts. How could someone possess the power of so many tailed beasts at the same time? Tobirama's aloof voice resounded through the heavens. I am now the strongest in the world, the second sage of 6 paths. Fusion Ultimate Susanoo. Boom boom boom. The chakra of the nine-tailed beasts was instantly absorbed into the body of the red Susanoo. The originally crimson armor underwent a qualitative change in an instant, transforming into a deep purple color filled with lightning and an aura of destruction. His size doubled, the wings on his back transformed into thunderous wings, and the twin swords in his hands vanished, replaced by a giant thunderous bow powerful enough to shoot down stars. This is Sasuke's strongest form, Indra Susanoo, which he displayed after absorbing the chakra of the nine-tailed beasts during the battle at the Valley of the End in the original work. But Tobirama's version is an enhanced version of the 6 paths. At that moment, Madara felt that his blue Susanoo was like a child who hadn't grown up in front of this giant. Before the attack could even land, it was instantly pulverized by the thunderous pressure emanating from the ultimate Susanoo. What kind of power is this? Ban's smile vanished completely. His pride and joy were laughably fragile in the face of this form. Ban, it's ready. Tobirama slowly drew back the giant thunderbow. The surrounding natural energy was frantically drawn out, and everything in the world seemed to converge on this arrow. Lightning exploded, and space shattered. Celestial magic activated. Indra's arrow of immortality. There's no escaping it. Madara's fighting instincts went into overdrive. This arrow locked down space, locked down cause and effect. If we can't stop it, we'll die. We really will die. Ah, I'll never give up. Madara roared, channeling all his ocular power into Susanoo. Susanoo in full armor. The next second, the arrow is fired. Boom. It felt like a nuclear bomb exploding right next to my face. The ground within a radius of tens of kilometers vanished instantly, turning into a bottomless crater. The mushroom cloud shot straight into the sky, even blowing a large hole in the atmosphere. Much later, the smoke and dust cleared. Bottom of the giant pit. The ultimate form of Susanoo had long since vanished, and Tobirama, dressed in black, floated immaculately in midair. And in the ruins beneath his feet, Madara Uchiha lay on a pile of rubble, looking utterly miserable. His blue Susanoo had long since shattered into dust, half of his body was gone, and the remaining half was charred black, with his internal organs clearly visible. Even with Hashirama cells, this level of injury has already exceeded the limits of recovery. Cough cough, cough. Ban coughed up mouthfuls of blood mixed with fragments of internal organs, his breath barely a whisper. But he still forced himself to open his only remaining eye and looked at Tobirama in the sky. Hey, hee hee. Ban gave a bitter laugh, his voice weak but resigned. Tobirama, you won. That arrow. Even if Zhuge Liang had taken it, he would have died. I, Uchiha Madara, acknowledge you as the strongest. In his entire life, he only ever admired Hashirama. Now, there's one more room. Moreover, it was a complete and utter crushing defeat. It's good that you admit it. Tobirama slowly descended and walked to Madara's side. What a pity. Ban looked at the gray sky, a hint of resentment and desolation flashing in his eyes. I've just regained my youth, and before I've even had a chance to see this new world, I'm going to die. Tobirama, although I promised to work with you. But it seems, my body can't hold on any longer. This time, it really is time to take my final bow. Life force is rapidly slipping away. Ban could feel that death's hand had already gripped his throat. For the strong, dying on the battlefield is their destiny. He doesn't regret it, only feeling a sense of loss. It's a pity I didn't get to see the empire Tobirama spoke of, an empire without daimyo, ruled by ninjas. Take a bow? Quote. Tobirama looked at Madara, who was on the verge of death, raised an eyebrow, and a playful smile appeared on his lips. Did I say I wanted you dead? My henchmen, without my permission, not even the king of hell dares to take them. What? Madara's consciousness was beginning to fade. Tobirama opened his right eye again. The eerie eternal Mangekyo Sharingan appeared, once again radiating the light of reversing cause and effect. Spot, look carefully. This is the power of God. Shinra Banshu time reversal. This is the time power Tobirama obtained during his first trial. Buzz. The familiar green gold beam of light once again enveloped Ban's battered body. Time seemed to flow backwards around us. The charred skin peeled off, new flesh grew, broken bones reconnected, and the missing half of the body grew back out of thin air. Even that faint heartbeat has become strong and powerful again. In just 3 seconds, Madara Uchiha, who was on the verge of death, has been fully revived. And he's still at his peak. Van sat up abruptly, touched his unharmed chest, and then looked at his hands. He was completely stunned. The feeling of being resurrected from the dead, instantly pulled from hell back to heaven, completely stunned even this seasoned ninja demon. What kind of technique is this? Madara raised his head and looked at Tobirama as if he were a monster. Just this once is enough. Twice? This is not just restoring youth, this is true immortality. As long as Tobirama is alive, he will never die. He hadn't even seen any side effects from Tobirama. The power of time. Tobirama said it casually, as if he had only done a trivial thing. I've said it before, as long as you work for me, nothing else matters. Even if you die 10,000 times, I can bring you back 10,000 times. Now, are you convinced? Van stood up and took a deep breath. He looked at the man in front of him, who was younger than him but many times stronger. That proud head, for the first time ever, finally bowed willingly. Following such a strong leader, perhaps we can truly create the peace he dreams of. I give up. Madara placed one hand on his chest and bowed slightly to Tobirama. This is the highest form of courtesy from a strong person to an even stronger one. From today onwards, this old man's life belongs to you. You name who you want to fight, and I'll go and kill them. Tobirama felt a surge of satisfaction as he looked at Madara, who had submitted. They subdued Madara Uchiha. This is much more fulfilling than becoming Hokage. Very good. Quote. Tobirama turned around, his divine robes fluttering in the wind. Then let's go. Return to Konoha. Those major powers are still watching from the sidelines. It's time to take you, the Asura, to give them a little Uchiha shock. Van grinned, a smile that was both ferocious and fanatical. That suits me perfectly. Episode 58 Retrieving the Rinnegan. Madara in his complete form. Outside a hidden cave in the land of rain. The rain was pouring down, and the gloomy sky seemed like it would never clear up. This is the scar of the ninja world, shrouded in sorrow and war for many years. Brush. Space distortion. Two figures appeared out of thin air on the muddy clearing. The raindrops were automatically repelled by an invisible chakra aura when they approached within 3 feet of the two people, leaving not even a speck of their clothing wet. Tobirama Uchiha stood with his hands behind his back, his eyes indifferent. Beside him stood Uchiha Madara, who had just regained his youthful peak, clad in red armor and exuding an aura of dominance. So this is the land of rain. What a disgusting place, the air is thick with the smell of mildew. Madara frowned, glancing around. His sharp black eyes, though lacking the Rinnegan, still held a hint of disdain. Tobirama, what are you doing here? Didn't we say we were going back to Konoha? What's the rush? Tobirama stepped forward, heading towards a dilapidated wooden house not far away. Your eyes are still inside someone else's sockets. If you don't retrieve them, don't you want to possess your full power? What? Quote. Madara shuddered, his steps halting abruptly, staring at Tobirama in disbelief. How did you know I transplanted the Rinnegan? And, how do you know the eye is here? This is his biggest secret. Even Black Zetsu was the executor of the plan, but apart from Black Zetsu and him, no one else knew the specific transplant recipients and locations. Is Tobirama truly omniscient and omnipotent? I've said it before, in this ninja world, there's nothing I don't know. Tobirama didn't turn around, but simply uttered a few words. Follow me, the container for your eyes is inside. Inside the wooden house. The atmosphere was warm and peaceful. Jiraiya sat cross-legged by the fire, solemnly instructing the two children on how to refine chakra. One is Yahiko with orange hair, and the other is Nagato with red hair covering his eyes and an introverted personality. Although the original plot underwent a dramatic change due to Tobirama's intervention, and a megacure was destroyed, the inertia of fate seemed to still bring the three of them together again. The only difference is that Konan is missing. She's currently staying obediently in Konoha as Tobirama's apprentice. Nagato, you have a lot of chakra, but you need to learn to control it. Jiraiya hadn't finished speaking. Boom! A terrifying, suffocating pressure of chakra descended from outside the door without warning. The feeling was like an ancient, ferocious beast approaching, its imposing presence silencing even the surrounding rain. Quote. Jiraiya's expression changed drastically. He instantly stood up, blocking the two children, his kunai tightly clenched in his hand. This level of chakra even surpasses the old man's existence. The door was pushed open. Tobirama Uchiha walked in calmly, followed by the man who struck fear into the hearts of the entire ninja world. Yo, Jiraiya. Tobirama glanced at the wary white-haired man and casually greeted him. Instead of being a proper governor of Rainbow Province, why is he running off to this godforsaken place to raise his kids? Doorway master? Jiraiya was taken aback when he saw Tobirama, then breathed a sigh of relief. Since it's this gentleman, there's no danger. But before he could fully relax, his gaze fell on the man behind Tobirama, who was wearing layered red armor and had long, wildly flowing hair. That figure, that attire, and that chillingly evil chakra. Jiraiya's pupils instantly shrank to the size of pinpoints, and cold sweat poured down his face. He had seen this person's portrait in Konoha's top-secret files. Uchiha, Madara? Jiraiya's voice changed, and his finger pointing at Madara trembled. How is that possible? Didn't he die in the Valley of the End? And, how can he be so young? Madara gave Jiraiya a cold glance, his gaze as if an elephant were looking at an ant. These are the current juniors of Konoha? Making such a fuss, what kind of behavior is this? Tobirama, these are the ninjas under your command? Terrible. Tobirama shrugged. This is the monkey's apprentice, he has nothing to do with me. After saying that, Tobirama ignored the terrified Jiraiya and fixed his gaze directly on Nagato, who was hiding behind Jiraiya. To be precise, it was his eyes, hidden by his red hair, that were locked onto. Come here, kid. Tobirama beckoned with his finger. Nagato's body stiffened. The oppressive force emanating from the depths of his bloodline rendered him completely immobile. He could only look to Jiraiya for help. Everyone between the doors is an adult. Jiraiya steeled himself and stood in front, his legs trembling, but he still shouted protectively. What are you trying to do? This child is just a war orphan. An orphan? Tobirama sneered and pointed at Nagato. Jiraiya, haven't you noticed yet? Those eyes never belonged to him. That's Madara Uchiha's Rinnegan. What? Quote. Jiraiya and Yahiko exclaimed in surprise at the same time. Nagato instinctively covered her eyes, her face filled with terror. Madara was getting impatient, and blue chakra surged from his body. You talk too much nonsense. Those are my eyes. They've been residing in this brat's body for over a decade. It's time to return them to their rightful owner. What? You want to stop this old man? Boom. With just a single, intimidating glance, Jiraiya felt as if he had been struck in the chest by a heavy hammer, letting out a muffled groan and staggering back several steps. This is the legendary Uchiha Madara. Even without eyes, his mere aura is enough to overwhelm a Kage-level powerhouse. Alright, Ban, don't scare the children. Tobirama patted Madara on the shoulder, signaling him to tone it down. Then he looked at Jiraiya. Don't worry, I won't take it for nothing. The Rinnegan is powerful, but it's a huge burden for him. He's draining his life force to maintain those eyes. I'll take the Rinnegan and replace it with a new pair of eyes. This is a good thing for him. Jiraiya fell silent. He knew Tobirama was telling the truth. Every time Nagato uses those eyes, his body becomes extremely weak. Moreover, faced with Madara Uchiha and Tobirama, two six-pads level monsters, did he even have a choice? Good. Quote. Jiraiya sighed and stepped aside. Nagato, go. Lord Tobirama won't harm you. Nagato walked out, trembling. Really, you won't die? Die? Quote. Tobirama grabbed his shoulder and instantly teleported into the inner room. It's hard to die even if you want to. 10 minutes later, a violent fluctuation of chakra emanated from inside the room. Immediately afterwards, ha 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 ha, a burst of extremely arrogant and domineering laughter shattered the roof tiles and soared into the sky. They're back. They're finally back. This feeling, this power. I am finally complete. Boom. The walls of the wooden house instantly shattered. Madara Uchiha hovered in midair, his arms outstretched, as if embracing the entire world. His black hair moved without wind, but what was most striking were his purple eyes, which rippled with concentric circles. Rinnegan, the true Rinnegan, combined with his youthful physique now back at its peak, a world-destroying aura swept across all directions, even forcefully dispersing a corner of the rain clouds in the sky. Jiraiya slumped to the ground, staring at Madara in the sky, only two words echoing in his mind. Invincible. This monster has been resurrected. Who in the ninja world can stop it? At that moment, Tobirama led Nagato out. Nagato's eyes were wrapped in gauze, but his breathing was infinitely more stable than before. Tobirama gave him a pair of normal eyes, which was the most suitable for the Uzumaki clan. How are you feeling? Tobirama looked up at Madara, who was still striking a pose in the sky. Madara instantly appeared in front of Tobirama. That arrogant face was now filled with excitement and, admiration for Tobirama. He touched his eyes and took a deep breath. Better than ever before. Tobirama, I feel like I could punch my past self to pieces right now. This power is all thanks to you. If Tobirama hadn't helped him regain his youth, even if he got his eyes back, his aged body wouldn't have been able to unleash even a fraction of its power. Now that you're all better, let's go. Tobirama glanced at Jiraiya, who was still in a daze. Having said that, Tobirama did not linger. A hand rested on Ban's shoulder. Spotted leaves, returning to the wood. The leaders of those major powers are probably still observing. It's time to show them what the oppressive power of a fully formed Asura truly is. Snort. Quote. A cruel smile curled at the corner of Ban's mouth. That suits me perfectly. My hands have been itching for ages. Brush. Flying Thunder God technique activated. The two great gods vanished into thin air. All that remained was a scene of utter devastation, and Jiraiya and his disciples still questioning the meaning of life. The world has changed. Jiraiya looked at the clearing sky and muttered to himself. Madara Uchiha is resurrected. Tobirama-sama reigns supreme for eternity. This ninja world is truly about to completely change its surname to Uchiha. Episode 59 The Return of the Ninja World's Asura. The ninja world is shocked. Uchiha is too cute. Konoha village, the plaza in front of the Hokage building. The air seemed to freeze. The Konoha villagers and ninjas, who were originally celebrating the abolition of the daimyo system, were now like ducks with their necks choked, unable to utter a sound. It was all because of the man standing beside Tobirama on the high platform. He wore a deep red, layered armor, his long hair wildly cascading down his back, his arms crossed, his posture arrogant as if he were looking down on a group of ants. The most terrifying thing was the pair of purple, shimmering eyes within his eye sockets, the Rinnegan. And that undisguised, terrifying chakra pressure, enough to make an ordinary Jonin kneel on the spot. At the Uchiha clan's stronghold, several elderly elders, upon recognizing the man's face, dropped their canes with a clatter, their eyes wide with disbelief. That is. Uchiha Setsuna trembled violently, whether from excitement or fear, his voice cracking. Madara, Lord Madara? It's our ancestor, Lord Uchiha Madara. Boom. That shout ignited the entire stadium. Everyone's scalp tingled. Uchiha Madara? That legendary Asura who could go toe-to-toe with the god of shinobi, Hashirama Senju, and nearly destroyed the ninja world. Wasn't he dead? How can someone not only be alive, but also look so young? Tobirama stepped forward, raised his hand, and quelled the commotion in the room. Quiet. Quote. Let me introduce myself to you. Tobirama pointed to Madara beside him, his tone as indifferent as if he were introducing an old neighbor. Uchiha Madara, my deputy, and also Konoha's new head of the War and Expansion Department. From this day forward, he will be responsible for handling all foreign wars, the suppression of rebellions, and the dealings with disobedient nations. Soraka, say hello. Madara snorted coldly, his Rinnegan scanning the entire area, a sneer curling at the corner of his lips. A group of weaklings. To be able to survive under my command is your honor. From now on, anyone who dares to disrespect Konoha, I will personally go and destroy their country. Overbearing. Arrogant. But no one dared to refute it, not even daring to breathe loudly. Because that's Uchiha Madara, the true Asura of the ninja world. One day later, the intelligence exploded throughout the ninja world. If Tobirama's abolition of the daimyo system was merely considered madness, then the news of Madara Uchiha's resurrection and joining Konoha plunged the other four great nations into utter despair. The land of Earth, deep in the mountains and forests. Upon hearing this news, Onoki, who was fleeing from danger, fell from mid-air and broke his back. Bandit has come back to life? That nightmare, it's back. Puang too was drenched in cold sweat as the fear of his father being dominated by Ban overwhelmed him. Tobirama Uchiha alone was enough to take on the five great nations single-handedly, and now they've added Madara Uchiha in his prime? What's the point of playing this game? Quickly, write another copy of the surrender document. Make the wording even more humble. Send it to Konoha, Land of Lightning, Hidden Cloud Village. The radical faction, which had been secretly gathering troops and attempting to make some small moves, was instantly disbanded. Joke. Go and fight Konoha, a place with 2 6-pads level fighters? That's asking for trouble. The Hidden Cloud Village cleaned the streetlights at the village entrance until they gleamed, fearing that Madara might come by one day in a bad mood and find the streetlights not bright enough, so they would hang them up. The entire ninja world was utterly disheartened. Everyone understands that from this day forward, there will only be one ruler of this world, and that is Konoha. Rebellion? Not a chance. Lying down and becoming a dog is the only way out. Konoha, Uchiha clan territory, secret scroll room. After sending Madara to the military headquarters to deal with those surrender matters, Tobirama finally had some peace and quiet. Instead of going home, he went to the Uchiha clan's historical archives, where top secrets were kept. Although he possessed the script, some details still needed to be confirmed through the family's ancient texts. At this point in time, Tobirama's fingers traced across rows of dusty scrolls. Now that Madara's matter has been resolved and the nine-tailed beasts are effectively under control, it's time to retrieve some of the great weapons that have been forgotten by history. Sudden, Tobirama's finger stopped on a black scroll that was wrapped in layers of sealing magic. The scroll's label bore a few somewhat faded words. Warring States Secrets, codename, Nameless. Found it. A playful smile appeared on Tobirama's lips. He broke the seal and unfurled the scroll. It contains the life story of a tragic young girl, a secret weapon of the Uchiha clan during the Warring States period. Possessing the unique Mangekyo Sharingan eye technique, 8,000 spears, it can transfer chakra to those it marks, imprint ninjutsu, and even forcibly control their minds. In short, it's a bug-level entity that can not only act as a super power bank, but also as a collective mind control tower. However, because of his overwhelming power, he was used as a tool by the Uchiha clan at the time. In order to exploit her power, her people imprisoned her in a dark and sunless cage, and even used her as an expendable resource during wars between the two tribes. Ultimately, because her power went out of control, she was sealed away in an unknown underground ruin by the combined forces of the Uchiha and Senju clans. Tisk tisk tisk. Tobirama looked at the records on the scroll and shook his head. What a bunch of wasteful idiots. Such a promising talent, wasted like a disposable tool? And, this is a top-tier potential stock. In the original game storyline, Hikaru Uchiha was strong enough to go toe-to-toe with the overpowered characters from the Boruto era. If we don't recycle it and let it rot in the ground, it's a huge waste of resources. Now that I've become the head of the Uchiha clan, it's natural that I should resolve these historical issues. Furthermore, my harem. Oh no, my elite guards, just happen to be missing a mind control expert. Tobirama closed the scroll, a glint of shrewdness flashing in his eyes. The location coordinates are clearly recorded on the scroll. An underground cave located at the border between the Land of Fire and the Land of Rivers. System. Quote. Tobirama silently recited this in his heart. Mark the location of Uchiha Hikaru's seal. Ding. Coordinates locked. 300 kilometers from the host. Immediate departure is recommended. The target is in an extremely weakened state, and the seal is loose, posing a risk of chakra leakage. As expected, Tobirama stood up and burned the scroll to ashes. Ban just got back and is busy establishing his authority at the military headquarters, so he doesn't have time to deal with me. Then let's go dig this little devil out. Brush. Tobirama stepped out of the secret room. At the entrance, Yi Kang was respectfully waiting. Master, Lord Madara just sent someone to inquire whether you would accept their 4 tails and 5 tails as mounts from Iwagakure. Let him handle it himself, don't bother me with such trivial matters. Tobirama waved his hand and put his arm around Yakora's waist. Yi Kang, come with me. Let's go treasure hunting. Treasure hunting? Yi Kang was taken aback. Where to? Go dig up an Uchiha girl forgotten by the world. Tobirama's lips curled up, a hint of anticipation in his eyes. Compared to a rough and tough guy like Madara, he was definitely more interested in rescuing beautiful girls. Especially a girl with a tragic past, great strength, and on the verge of turning to the dark side. It's more rewarding to train them. Flying Thunder God. Buzz. A golden flash instantly enveloped the two of them. The next second, Konoha has once again lost its Hokage. The border of the Land of Rivers, a desolate place. This is a rugged canyon, barren of vegetation, with only the howling wind. Before an inconspicuous stone wall, Tobirama appeared out of nowhere with Yogura. This is it. Looking at the moss-covered boulder before him, Tobirama could clearly sense a chilling, twisted, yet deeply sorrowful chakra fluctuation emanating from it. Such a suffocating atmosphere. Yogura couldn't help but shiver. Even though it was daytime, the place had a sinister and eerie feel to it. Master, is there really someone inside? This chakra feels like a vengeful spirit. A vengeful spirit? Tobirama stepped forward and placed his hand on the boulder. The Rinnegan with 9 Tomo manifested, its terrifying power instantly piercing through the rock and reaching deep into the earth. In a pitch-black, sealed space, he saw a figure. A frail girl dressed in tattered Warring States period clothing, her eyes tightly bound with bandages, and her body covered with sealed black rods. Her limbs were chained to the rock face with thick iron chains, her eyes were wrapped in layers of bandages covered with curse marks, and there were even traces of dark brown blood that had dried for 100 years. It was a suffocating cruelty. Even through the seal, one could feel the despair, fear, and the faint, almost extinguished flame of life emanating from that frail body. Nameless. Tobirama uttered the name that had been erased. Those old fogies are as disgusting as ever. Yi Kang, step back. I'm going to smash this tortoise shell. Yes. Yi Kang quickly retreated to a distance of over 100 meters. She could feel the almost boiling anger emanating from her master. Tobirama's eyes narrowed, and he swung his black blade out suddenly. Silver Wheel Reincarnation Burst Cut. A similar technique simulated using the power of the six paths. Boom! A dazzling silver blade of light sliced through the air in an instant, striking the rune-covered boulder hard. The 1,000-year seal, strong enough to withstand a cage-level attack, was as fragile as tofu before this six paths level power. Click! The boulder shattered, turning into dust that filled the sky. The seal is broken. A musty, decaying smell wafted from the cave entrance. Tobirama stepped into the darkness. Let's go welcome our great-grandmother home. Episode 60. Taking Uchiha Tai Nai away. Beneath the land of rivers, lies a sealed ruin. As the sealing boulder crumbled, the chains and cursed seals binding Uchiha Hikaru were forcibly torn off by Tobirama's violent methods. Clang, clang. The rusty iron chain fell to the ground, stirring up a cloud of dust. The girl, who had been imprisoned for hundreds of years, did not collapse immediately after losing her support. Driven by her survival instinct, she suddenly opened her tightly closed eyes. Although his eyes were surrounded by scars and his body was extremely weak, his crimson Mangekyo Sharingan emitted a chilling light in the darkness. Woke up? Quote. Tobirama Uchiha stood 3 meters in front of her, his hands behind his back, his expression indifferent. Yi Kang had already wisely retreated to the cave entrance to guard it, leaving the two of them alone. Uchiha Hikaru was breathing heavily. Her gaze gradually focused, fixing on the man before her. Finally, her gaze fell on the faintly visible red and white fan-shaped family crest inside Tobirama's collar. You, Tomoha. Guang's voice was hoarse, filled with intense hatred and fear. It's Uchiha again. She instinctively shrank back, leaning against the cold rock wall, her arms crossed over her chest, adopting an extremely defensive posture. Aren't you all dead yet? What are you planning to do this time? Are you trying to drain my chakra? Or are you trying to use my eye technique to control someone? Get out of my way. I won't be your weapon anymore. Centuries of torment, a shadow etched into the soul. In her eyes, no one from the Uchiha clan is any good. They are a group of demons who will stop at nothing for power, even sacrificing young girls of their own kind. Tobirama looked at the ruffled little wildcat and shook his head helplessly. Are you out of your mind? His tone was flat, even carrying a hint of pity for someone looking at a fool. Uchiha Hikaru, open your eyes and look carefully. Those ancient relics that sealed you here, even their bones have rotted away. This is a new era, hundreds of years in the future. My name is Uchiha Tobirama, the current head of the Uchiha clan. I'm not here to be some useless weapon, I wouldn't stoop to such low-level tactics. I just felt it was a waste for someone as talented as you to be stuck here, so I just helped you out. Help me? Uchiha Hikaru paused for a moment, then let out a chilling laugh. Hee ha 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 ha, save me? Would an Uchiha have such kindness? When they blindfolded me and bound my hands and feet, they said it was for the sake of the family, for the sake of peace. The red light in her eyes grew stronger, and the kaleidoscope patterns spun wildly. Liars. They're all liars. Whether it's hundreds or thousands of years, the Uchiha clan's greed will never change. You think you can use me? Dream on. Even if I die, I'll drag you down with me. Communication failed. Late stage of post-traumatic stress disorder. In her worldview, Uchiha equals demon, and that is an absolute truth. Boom. Despite his weakened state, Uchiha Hikaru overexerted himself by forcefully activating the Mangekyo Sharingan. 8,000 spears, a spiritual assassination. Buzz. An invisible, terrifying wave targeting the soul erupted instantly. This eye technique is extremely insidious. It can instantly connect to the opponent's mental network, forcibly modify their will, or directly destroy their brain. Back then, countless powerful figures perished because of this one move of hers. Stubborn and inflexible, Tobirama stood still, watching the invisible spiritual spikes hurtle towards him, without even trying to dodge. There was even a hint of disappointment in his eyes. Is that all you've got? Just as the spiritual thorn was about to touch Tobirama's brow, Tobirama's eerie six-tomo Rinnegan suddenly sharpened. The overwhelming gaze of a god. Boom! A spiritual force, countless times stronger than light and as vast as a boundless ocean, unexpectedly surged back. If the power of light in one's eyes is a small stream, then Tobirama is a tsunami flowing backwards. PFF'd. Uchiha Hikaru felt as if his brain had been hit hard by a heavy hammer. Her pupil technique was instantly and violently broken. He spat out a mouthful of blood and crashed heavily into the rock wall behind him like a kite with a broken string. Cough cough. How is this possible? She landed smoothly on the ground, staring at Tobirama with a look of terror on her face. Her 8,000 spears were ineffective? Not only was it ineffective, but it also backfired on me with just a glance from the other party. What kind of monster is this man? I told you, I'm going to save you, so you'd better just accept it. Tobirama walked towards her step by step, each step carrying a suffocating sense of oppression. I don't like talking nonsense, and I don't like being pointed at with those low-level eye techniques. No, don't come any closer. Guang gritted his teeth and struggled to stand up. Even though her body was on the verge of falling apart, she still refused to give up the fight. He pulled a sharp piece of gravel from somewhere. Since his eye technique wouldn't work, he'd use his physical skills. She lunged at Tobirama, the pebbles in her hand aimed at his throat. Although the movements were fierce, in Tobirama's eyes, they were incredibly slow. Smack. Tobirama easily caught the piece of pebbles by simply extending 2 fingers. Then, with a flick of his wrist, he grabbed Guang's thin wrist with his other hand. Too slow, too weak. Tobirama pulled with a little force. Hikaru's light body lost its balance and crashed into Tobirama's arms. Let me go. You be **************** D. You devil. Hikaru struggled wildly in his arms, opening her mouth to bite Tobirama's arm. If you refuse a toast, you'll have to drink a penalty shot. Tobirama frowned slightly. The best approach for this kind of brat who only reacts to stress and doesn't listen to reason is to calm them down physically. Snap. Tobirama delivered a swift chop to Hikaru's nape. Forehead. Hikaru's body stiffened abruptly, the red light in her eyes quickly dissipated, she rolled her eyes, and slumped softly into Tobirama's arms. The world is finally quiet. The doorman took her thin, bony body in his arms and curled his lip in disgust. This is really troublesome. You're forcing me to take action. You won't listen when I talk to you nicely, you only behave when I knock you unconscious. He picked up the unconscious Uchiha Hikari horizontally and looked at her dirty little face, which was still furrowed even in her unconscious state. Although he looks like a beggar now, he actually has a good foundation. If you clean her up and fatten her up a bit, she'll definitely be a top-tier yandere loli. Yi Kang. Tobirama called out towards the cave entrance. Brush. Yekura appeared instantly, a hint of surprise flashing in his eyes as he looked at the girl in Tobirama's arms. Master, is it done? This little rascal has too much of a temper. Let her sleep for a while. Tobirama stepped out of the dark, damp cave. The sunlight outside was so bright that it was almost blinding. He glanced down at the light in his arms. Those who live in darkness will never believe in the existence of light. Since words won't convince you, then let you see for yourself. Look at this new world that I, Tobirama Uchiha, have transformed. Tobirama embraced the light, and chakra erupted beneath his feet. Let's go back to Konoha. When she woke up, she found herself lying in a soft, large bed, eating a hot meal, and looking at streets where there was no war. Her expression at that moment will definitely be priceless. Brush. The golden light of the flying thunder god technique shone brightly once more. The 3 disappeared into the wilderness of the land of rivers. Half an hour later, Konoha, Tobirama's residence. A warmly decorated guest room filled with sunshine. Tobirama placed Uchiha Hikaru, who had been washed and dressed in a white nightgown, on the bed. After being treated by Yongdun and cleansed, the light finally revealed its original appearance. Her long, silver-black hair was spread out on the pillow. Her skin, though pale, already had a sheen. And her features were as delicate as a porcelain doll. Tobirama sat on the edge of the bed, gazing at this sleeping weapon. System, give her an injection to restore her bodily functions. Ding. The medicine has been injected. Estimated recovery time, 1 night. Tobirama crossed his legs, picked up a book casually, and waited quietly. He was very curious. When this ancient, deadly sword awakens in the peaceful and prosperous Konoha. Were they melted by this gentle embrace? Or should I continue to bare my teeth at him? However, regardless of which one, once you're in his hands, you can forget about escaping for the rest of your life.